Chattanooga.
Here we are once again, another week.
Cornerstone Apostolic Church. Footnotes. Footnotes it is. It's another midweek, and we are thrilled to death to be with you. My name is Raymond Sloan.
And I'm Vandy Watt.
We're with Cornerstone Apostolic Church in Chattanooga, Tennessee. This is a weekly event.
Yeah.
Footnotes, right?
Wednesday mornings, like clockwork, consistent.
Yep. And this is a ministry of CAC. We like to halfway in the week kind of break into your system and your world with just a little, maybe a different outlook on the past or the previous Sunday's message, and talk a little bit about some other ideas or the footnotes, if you will, of that message. And we are located, for those who don't, where are we at?
6314 East Brainerd Road, Chattanooga, Tennessee.
That's right. Scenic City, cachattanooga.org. You can find us there on the website. Man, we got all kind of cool stuff there.
And don't forget all of our social platforms. You can find us everywhere out there too. You know, just find a little insight of what's happening here on a weekly basis.
That's right. On the website, you can watch archived videos, sermons, lessons. There's prayer requests place. There's thing for merch if you want to get some cool CAC merch. We have a lot of neat things going on here at CAC. Church is booming. Things are happening. And better than that, we are in October.
Tomorrow's Christmas, from what I hear.
It's happening so fast. But everybody knows East Tennessee is a beautiful, beautiful place to be in the fall. So we've got cool days and cooler nights. So anyway, we're just happy that you've decided to join it. Now, if you're driving down the road, whatever you do, don't take your foot off the pedal nor your hand off the wheel. Just keep it moving. But we're glad that you've joined with us and take a few moments to allow us to just kind of talk about some cool things that happened on Sunday. Vandy, start us off, man. What was the message?
So the title of Brother Sam Hodem was the minister again this week, and the title of his message, you know, is kind of crazy. Just to kind of throw it all out there. Man walked out or had some young gentlemen come help him, and apparently stole some lumber from a building site.
Yeah, didn't steal it. He borrowed it.
I think it was pastor over here building a pole barn, and he's like, I'm going to take this, and so he brought out two big pieces of lumber and a few sawhorses and began to talk about how things are built and things like that, and how he had this epiphany about as we build things. You know, he went back to his 7th grade math, which is awesome because when I learned the title of his message, when I learned that it was not in 7th grade. I think I learned it in 10th grade geometry.
Yeah.
A squared plus B squared equals C squared, which is essentially the Pythagorean theorem, which is how to find the hypotenuse of an isosceles triangle.
Yeah. So to make that really easy for all of us, if you take this one and this one, it gives you that one.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah. And again, he brought out some roof rafters that he was that's part of the pole barn build out. How to find the angle. If you're doing a certain pitch, you've got to cut the length and so forth, and it was that. Yeah. Now, that might actually seem strange, but for Brother Sam, it's not. It's pretty common. But to the point of finding connecting points, how do you know a certain A and a certain B? How do you know then how to make sure that it's complete? Because many times, Vandy, I think we can both witness and testify that sometimes life puts you on a path that you've got some of the answers, some of the response, some of the idea, but it's so hard sometimes to figure out where it meets.
Yeah, we've got that. We've got the numerator and the denominator, but we're missing whatever X is.
Yeah.
We're trying to figure out all those pieces.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's confusing for anybody. Young folk are learning how to navigate life. They're learning how to make decisions and then pay for them, both good and bad. And then when you're a young married couple and you've got kids, you're trying to figure out how to navigate again. And things happen in life, and sometimes it makes sense, but most of the time it doesn't.
Right.
on and on. But the whole principle behind that particular theory, let's back away from math for us non-math people.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, the whole idea, though, is things happen and they will line up as long as we open ourselves up to what God is doing. You know, we can become very comfortable, can we not? Complacent.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then what happens?
Well, I mean, the minute we become complacent, we start dying, and that's just putting it where the rubber meets the road is the minute you stop growing, the minute you stop developing, you start dying.
Yeah. If that's the case, why then? I mean, it's an honest question. Yeah. Why then do so many get stopped or caught in that? I mean, because I don't know about you, but I've been challenged before. But man, I don't know how that's going to turn out. So I think I'll sit here.
Yeah, it's such. There's something about the unknown that just makes people freeze.
True.
And no matter how prepared they are or how unprepared they are, that doesn't factor in. It's when they get to that moment of the unknown. At some point, you have to take a step.
Right.
You know, at some point, you've got to take that step and trust that the bridge that you expected to be a couple of feet down is going to be there.
Right.
And by doing that, that also, overlaps too with our faith and trust in God.
That's
it's like
right.
We've got to know through this, like, hey, look, I'm not going to build a wall and block out God from this because I want God to be in the middle of it.
But boy, it is so hard to trust. I mean, the faith factor in living for God is enormous. I dare say that if we actually, as humans, if we knew the ins and outs, the ups and downs, if we knew all of that going in, life would actually be kind of boring, wouldn't it? I mean, honestly.
It's kind of like when you sit down to read a book and somebody's already told you what the end is.
Yeah.
And, or like, why do I want to waste the time to read the book? Because you already know how it ends.
Right.
The journey is where life really happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not where you end up at, but it's where, like, it's how you get there.
Yeah.
One of the most awesome things, is to look back as going back to the building reference is like, you know where you want to end up, but man, that journey to get there as you start building and you start putting things in place and seeing this come together and then this come together and then this come together. If you just automatically bought it out of the box and there it was, you lose that experience that's so vital.
Your anticipation is very limited at that. There's something very interesting, if I may, for a truck to pull up to the job site and set off these packs and stacks of pieces. Quite honestly, it looks very uninviting. You're like, well, there's 2x4s, 2x8s, and plywood, and you're looking at this. But then in the mind and on the plan and on the documents, you start making the cuts, start putting together, start nailing the pieces. And then this really cool things just like pop, it's up out of the ground. Life is that way. Yeah. You mentioned it a second ago, and Brother Sam was so apt today to talk about boxing God in and not allowing the unknown to unfold in your life. I think faith for us Christians is, Lord, I'm not really sure, but I'm going to trust. Those are the two challenging words.
Very much
but
so.
I'm going to trust that A squared plus B squared puts me at a connecting point. Yep. Something else that I was reminded of when Sam was going through this, when we laid out that structure that he's helping me with, just so happens I'm in the middle of that project, we had to lay it out on the ground and then start up with the poles. It's a pole barn. But how do you know that it's going to turn out somewhat square?
I mean, there's tools.
That's right.
Yeah, you got to use the tools you have.
Yeah. And so we measured here, we went there, we measured there, we went here, we started doing some cross calculations, some math, start moving the poles before we set them in the concrete pillars. That's a lot of times is what life's about. You start in your journey with a family, and then next thing you know, you're faced with a great challenge. You kind of just shift things. It needs to be here, it needs to be there. Sooner or later, we'll make this match. But life doesn't give me the full set of instructions. Yeah. I have to take a step of faith and a step of faith. the analogies that we can learn from A, B, and C, if you will, is the fact that if God is in it, who's actually doing the math?
No, God's math.
If that's
And thank God, because 2 + 2, when I run out of fingers, like
done.
I'm done. Like I can't, so I'm glad it's God.
Now, and let's, if I may, we still have a couple minutes. Go to something more complex in your life, not just relationships, but what about when something in your world just blows up? How do you still know there's a C squared?
Man, that's the challenge. Like, and I could share story after story of my own experiences.
Absolutely.
But I constantly go back. It seems like if I can just kind of come away from the question for just a minute and come back to it, it just seems like over the last several months, God has been trying to work through the church to get this message across. I remember just a few weeks ago, we had some crazy man standing up across the building screaming, over here, over here, representing where God was and our need to go to him, even though it was uncomfortable. And so kind of coming back to that, it's like, I feel like, this is one of those things we look at and we're like, man, time and time again, just in my own life, I can go back to when my first child was born.
Right.
And all the health issues and all the concerns. And I'm like, God, where's
where's the
are
C
you in
squared
this?
in
Like,
this?
where are you at?
Yeah.
Where you at? C?
Yeah.
I mean, JC, that works. I was like, where are you at? Like, where are you at, God? And, in other moments of my life, but then, plans change and God shifts and he's like, look, I had this all along. I had this all along, knowing or finding that moment where you can say assuredly, he's right there.
Yeah.
It comes from the muscle memory we build in ourselves.
Absolutely.
Based upon our experiences.
Yeah.
And when we trust God once over here and he shows himself faithful, then we know when we come into that situation, we can go a little further because the C is going to be there.
Yeah. Wow.
And it builds out that muscle memory. It's a little sketch I used to draw all the time on paper. I don't doodle as much anymore because all the digital things. But I used to always take triangles, and I'd draw triangles across the corners of my paper, and I would draw lines.
Yeah.
And I would draw lines. But what I noticed is like the longer that went on, well, I got this little section done, and then I expanded that triangle out.
Gotcha.
And then I expanded that triangle out. And I would get half a page almost doing the same thing before I even realized it, because each step I began to just kind of build out and branch out more based upon that.
But
that faithful experience.
It took steps. You couldn't, if you'd laid the pen down, quite honestly, you would not have had anything happen. Okay. So to sum it up, if you don't join us regularly, I challenge you to go to cachattanooga.org. Great word. We are traveling through the tabernacle this year in CAC. We've started back in January. We are now at priesthood is where Sam's at. We're going to finish up in December with all of the components of the tabernacle of the congregation, how God said he would meet with man. The beauty of that, in my opinion, in my study of the scripture in Exodus, when the plans were given, Leviticus, how it was supposed to be done, is they literally had to take what was given them, bring it, and then assimilate that into what God was asking them to do. This had never been done like that. They were faithing it. They were saying, God, give us the material. God, give us the wisdom to do. Right. We're going to do it. Then at the end of it all, the A squared and the B, okay, we're doing this. Now, God, how does this connect and make it perfectly the way you want it? It wasn't until the presence of God showed up that confirmed you're okay. This is acceptable. Bring it the New Testament reality. If you got Jesus in the picture, it's going to be okay. We can worry and fret and be anxious, right? We're all good at that. But the truth is, it takes Jesus to make up the difference. If you don't know him today, if you haven't been baptized yet in his name and you don't have the Holy Ghost yet, look, that journey is sitting there waiting for you to connect the dots of your life. What else is happening at CAC?
Oh man, we got all kinds of things. Hey, look, we're coming at the end of the month.
October.
31st, we're having a tremendous event here. We invite you, if you see this before October 31st, come join our family, allow us to get to know you a little bit, to pray with
Absolutely.
you. We've got our prayer team will be out there praying with folks, trunks, different things like that. Food trucks
Yep.
will be here.
Candy.
Significant event, but just a great time for us to get to know our community and just be a support to our community and pray for people, connect with people, and ultimately, hopefully, push them toward a connection
That's right.
with God.
It's got to be that. Well, our time has just ran out. We love and appreciate each one of you allowing us to be a part of your week. Tell somebody else about it. Share it with someone else. Let them know. You know what? There's questions that we all have, but there are answers, and we may not have them, but we know the one who does, and the Lord can help us. CACChattanooga.org. Reach out to us if you've got prayer requests. If there's anything we can help you with here in the community, please do so. We love you, and we appreciate greatly you joining with us. Until the next time, God bless you.
Have a great day, great week, and a great month.